Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's Who Will Be King. In the land of the NFC North, where legends rise, four teams clash beneath autumn skies. The Vikings, undefeated, their banner high. With Darnold's arm, they reached for the sky. The Packers, led by Willis, brave and bold, stunned the Titans with a victory to behold. Their defense fierce, with sacks and turnovers galore. Alexander's pick six left foes sore. The Lions, with golf's precision so true, tamed the Cardinals, their prowess grew. Montgomery's rush and Hutchinson's might brought victory on that faithful night. The Bears, though fallen, show promise still. With Williams' arm, they climb the hill. Through trials and turnovers, they learn and grow, their spirit unbroken by fortune's blow. Now week 4 looms with battles anew. Vikings and Packers, a clash of the two. Bears face the Rams, redemption in sight, while Lions host the Seahawks on Monday night. Who will be king, the crown yet unclaimed, in this realm where legends are named? From the frozen tundra to the purple shore, the NFC North's tale unfolds once more. So gather round, fans of the gridiron lore, for Who Will Be King has stories in store. With Pay, June, Foster, and Dave as your guide, we'll ride this season's thrilling ride. Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody, welcome to another week of Who Will Be King. And joining me today are my buddies from the NFC North. Far side on the viewer's left is Pay. Pay represents the Bear Claw podcast and his beloved Chicago Bears. How you doing, Pay?
Could be better. We could be having the inflection in my voice to match yours if we were 3-0, but you know, it's a work in progress. All things considered, not the worst thing in the world, as you said in your opening. We are trudging along.
Hey, making progress. And in the middle, the ones that hold on to the crown so far because they won it last year. We have June on the far left and Foster next to him from Bleachers To Speakers, the voice of Detroit. June, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm fine. I'm breathing. Everything's good, man. Weather's nice. Tigers won.
Speaking of the Tigers, Foster's the one that does Corner to Copa. Foster, how you doing today? Besides having his mic on mute, he's doing okay. Nope, still gone. Well, we'll move on. Well, you figured that out, buddy. I don't know why, but you're muted. So, June, do you need to run over to Foster's house and tell him how to turn on the button?
I'll let him cook. He'll be all right.
I heard something there. Anyways, we're going to start off with last week's games. Week 3. And our boys played some football. Some of us did extremely well. Others, not so much. So let's start off with the first game of last week, which was, believe it or not, the Packers at the Titans. Now, we know how we all feel about the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
Well, they pulled out Malik Willis for a second game in a revenge game against the Titans, and he led them to a 30-14 victory over the Titans. And there's a lot of running involved, but he also threw more in his second game. It's going to be interesting. He finished with 202 yards passing, which in this season is quite a bit for a quarterback, and 73 yards rushing. So he had a dominant day. We'll get into the question whether he's starting this weekend against us, the Vikings, or not a little bit later. But did any of you see that game or have any reactions to it?
I watched.
I watched a little bit of it. The Packers aren't my favorite team. I don't know if you all know this or not, so I don't really expend too much energy going back to watch the game to get all the details like I would do for some other squads. But as flipping through the games on Sunday, I did stop and watch a few series here and there, and yes, while Willis did throw the ball more. And I don't want to take anything from him because a lot of things, they've cleaned up a lot of things from his mechanics that he had in Tennessee versus now what he has at Green Bay. So credit to them on being able to prop him up. But it's all smoke and mirrors. He's playing well. He's doing what they're asking him to do, but it also helps that they're not playing anybody who can actually, get to him the way that you should want to get to a backup quarterback, which is exactly what he is. He is a backup quarterback. Make no mistakes about it. This is not the next Geno Smith. Malik Willis, when Jordan Love comes back, Malik Willis will return to where he belongs, and that will be the rest of his career. The Titans, I think the story with this game is more so on the Titans. I think they're going to be looking for a quarterback again very soon because Will Levis, he just ain't got it. This is his second year as a starter, and he's making rookie mistakes. In fact, rookies don't make the mistakes he makes. So the Packers, again, they lucked out. They're getting a playoff. They're getting preseason competition while they don't have a quarterback out there. Don't take nothing away from them, but I'm not going to pat them on the back for it.
June, you were about to say something.
I didn't get a chance to watch the game at all. Just, I don't know, it's something about the sight of green and yellow playing football. Just,
but you're going to watch this week, I'm sure.
I'm definitely going to watch. Yeah, I'm going to watch. This is division implications early, and just to see what's out there. I mean, I think Green Bay played at 1:00 last week. And since the Lions were playing later, I took the chance to run around and take care of things that I wanted to take care of. So I didn't watch too much football before 4:00.
Ooh. I would have probably taken a nap, but okay. That works. Foster, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the Titans game, but it appears that Will Levis is becoming like the meme of the league with all the ridiculous antics that he's been going through. So yeah, good for the Packers for playing them, and Willis getting a chance to beat his old old teams, I guess.
Okay. Next on the list that played last Sunday in the noon Central Time slot was the Bears at the Colts. Now, June Foster and I look at it from afar, and we have our opinions. But I want to know what Pays was.
This ought to be good.
It should be.
I don't know what type of event you all are looking for from me. The Bears lost. They shouldn't, and I felt like Disney Studios, Marvel Studios. They lied to me when they said "He Who Remains" is gone now. The Loki controls the time stream now. I feel like they lied because it's the cyclical events that resolve around the Bears continue to happen. We drop games to teams we should not lose to. The Colts tried their best to say, "Hey, you're supposed to win this game here. We'll help you out here." They did that on at least 3 occasions, and the Bears said, "No, no, 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 sir. We don't want the game. By all means, you're at home. You take it." It's frustrating sometimes being a Bears fan. So, but again, as I had to talk a couple of my co-hosts off the ledge, one game does not make a season. Any Sunday, anybody can win. If you lose a game to a team you're not supposed to lose to, that just means you got to go back and win a game later to a team you're not supposed to beat. Things happen. We still got 14 games left. The Bears will right the ship. I have no doubts in my mind about that. In fact, when we did our schedule review and we predicted the record, I figured the Bears are going to start the season 3-3. A bunch of new faces on offense, a bunch of faces that are overrated on offense. Still trying to figure some things out. And like always, the defense is carrying things as usual. Hopefully we don't have to have the same conversation again next week, because if we do, I'm definitely going to go talk to somebody about this time stream moving in the right direction. And no more of this linear stuff. I want the time to move, like it said in Back to the Future. I want a beginning and an end to everything. No more of this repeating.
Yeah, but will that happen with the same old O-line and offensive coordinator and head coach?
Probably not.
June Foster, you got any opinions on Chicago getting defeated?
Well, let me preface this, right? So when we look to pay to explain what he gave us right there, that's what we want. We want the Disney intro, all of that. It's not, we're not looking for excuses. We just want to hear from Pay, because you're going to tell it like it is, but you're going to present it in such fashion that we love. That's all it is. Now, as far as the game, I commend Caleb and his numbers passing wise. He did have a pretty good passing yardage day. I just don't think it's all on him. I think that offensive line has to be better. It just has to be. Can't have that kind of escapability or expected escapability that he had at USC, that he had in the next level. And it's early. It's early. I didn't think he'd come in and just do amazing things. I thought he was a good quarterback, but I didn't think he would come in and just turn things around. He's going to have some help. And there's going to have to be some things that I think the Bears should have to do. Maybe running the ball more, establish the ball, running the ball more. They have a good defense, so they shouldn't have to be in positions where they're so far down that they have to pass and the defense can pin their ears back. I think they need to not depend so much on Caleb, but he can make plays. We know that. And he threw 50-something times uh,
52
that
to
game.
be exact.
52 times. That's too much. That's too much. And then you have these running backs you got two or three that's capable of getting the carries. Now Swift, I'm not a believer of Swift. He was here. He's showing us what we saw here. But the other guy, the second stringer, he's pretty good. I think you should run the ball a little more. That's just me.
It helps the
Let me
O
tell you.
line.
Let me tell you, what would help the old line is them getting a new job. All of them finding a new line of employment. That would help the old line. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Swift. I'm not a big stats guy. I believe what I see guy. But here's some numbers. And I want to bring this up because I saw someone in the comments talking about fantasy, and fantasy is all numbers. Swift has 37 carries on the season for 68 yards.
Yeah.
That is an average of 1.8. Caleb Williams has 68 yards. Caleb Williams has 68 yards rushing as well on 11 carries. That's not a recipe for success. The Indianapolis Colts has been gashed on the ground the first two games of the season. We're supposed to kill them in that same way. We did not establish the run. The run calls that were drawn up were horrible. I know you all saw that meme of DeAndre Swift running for his life, where the entire offensive line is laying on their hips. I know you all saw that. That was the fourth running play called up while the Bears were inside the 5, the fourth straight, and then that last one was a QB option on the short side of the field. What kind of call was that? That doesn't help anybody. And DeAndre and there's been plenty of times DeAndre Swift, there's a seam right there, there's a seam right here, and he runs away from it. I can't call it. I don't know who this second string running back that you spoke of, Dave, because no one knows. The Bears have. Oh, I'm sorry, John. I don't know who this second string running back that is, because we assume he should be a certain running back. But the way that the snaps are divvied out and the way that the carries are divvied out, we have no idea. We have no idea what the chain of command is in that backfield. I don't think if I'm at the point where I don't think anyone in Hallis Hall has an idea of what to do.
That's sad. Now, the only good thing I read this week is you can't base a quarterback's future and how good he is on the first 3 games. Somebody did a study looking back 20, 30 years, and literally how the player played that first 3 games doesn't dictate his career. So you still have hope on the Caleb Williams side, but you got to have support.
Yeah.
Be it in the run game, the O-line, the offensive coordinator with a clue, something.
Roma Dunze looked good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze for getting their first career touchdowns. That was one of the few bright spots in the game. Caleb, as you said, Caleb did have a 368 career passing day. And to your point, Dave, no, 3 games does not make a season, definitely doesn't make a career. Caleb Williams has looked better incrementally each game that he's played so far this season. The first game of the season, obviously he didn't turn the ball over none, but he didn't impress anybody with less than 100 passing yards. The second half of the second game was terrible, and not all his fault. In the third game, he showed you those flashes that made you realize that, oh, that's why he was such a highly rated prospect. That's the type of stuff that they were looking for. Now, is it because he's got a light bulb went off? He had a coming to Damascus, a road to Damascus moment. We shall find out, because the Colts defense, again, is pretty garbage. So maybe he was taking advantage of some lapse in coverages or not. I hope it's more so of him figuring some things out, and not just, we losing to a team that we should have obliterated.
Well, I'm showing that he completed 33 passes for 363 yards. He had his first 2 touchdown passes of the season and a couple of interceptions to throw in on top of that for good measure. But he was gunning the ball way more than you would expect of a rookie. So it is what it is.
He was sacked like 3 times.
I think it was 3. Well, the last sack, a critical one, because he had stripped in that sack, and that led to the touchdown that we just couldn't overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's too much on him right now.
We feel for you now, there, Pay. We feel for you. We picked on you all this week. We feel for you right now.
You want to donate a win?
No.
Well, you don't feel for me enough.
Every day.
But it is what it is. And you're back home. You're in Chicago this weekend, so things should go well, hopefully. We'll see. And then comes the next game of last weekend, which was my game, the Vikings versus the Houston Texans. And the Vikings soundly defeated the Texans 34-7 to remain undefeated. Sam Darnold had an impressive performance, 4 touchdown passes. Not bad. Went 17 for 28, 181 yards without a turnover whatsoever. And if you didn't know already, I'll let you all know. If the Vikings are on the plus side of the turnover margin, or even on the plus side, or even with turnover margins, Kevin O'Connell is undefeated. Literally. It's 23 games where we're either even or on the plus side, but he's won every last one of them. So we had a dominant defensive performance. Our defense absolutely rocks under Brian Flores, and it had C.J. Stroud swimming, literally. He got pulled out in the fourth quarter. He could not handle it. He was seen on the sidelines many times with his hands in his face, shaking his head, trying to figure out what in the world's going on when you got 8 people up on the line of scrimmage and you don't know which one's rushing and which one's falling back into coverage. And it destroyed him. And that's what happened. And it was a wonderful, beautiful thing. I hope continues this weekend coming up. Aaron Jones also had a good game. He had 102 yards on the ground and another 46 in the air. Speaking of coming up, Aaron Jones will be featured in the game against his old team here shortly. The Vikings' aggressive and unpredictable defense, along with the noisy home crowd, they said the decibel ratings got up to either 130 or real close to 130 decibels. That's loud. It caused 5 offensive penalties in a row for Houston, where they jumped off sides. They just couldn't hear anything. And every time they had one, the crowd would get louder and louder and louder. And it hadn't been that loud in years in U.S. Bank Stadium. And it was just absolutely rocking. It was the largest victory the Minnesota Vikings had in 5 years by spread. We literally dominated that whole entire game, which, of course, led to all the flowers the team is getting this week amongst the national press. And you'll hear from me as well. But we have up next for us the Green Bay Packers. But we're still on week 3. There was one more game yet to be played on week 3. It was later. Sunday night. The Lions at the Cardinals. The Lions defeated the Cardinals. Let's hear how. Foster, how'd you guys do it?
So basically, we controlled the line of scrimmage. We prevented them from running the ball, kept Kyler Murray in the pocket for the most part, kept Marvin Harrison Jr. at bay to an extent. He did score a touchdown, had some receptions, but ultimately our ability to run the ball. Sam Laporta finally, made an appearance this week. We also got Brock Wright involved. Amon-Ra St. Brown bounced back from, ending the game with an injury last week. And we had some trickery. We had a hook and ladder play. So that was a reception, or what is it? It counts as a receiving touchdown, but it wasn't an official reception by Jahmyr Gibbs because Brown caught it, pitched it off to Gibbs, and then he did the rest. We had some controversy with the whistle going off at the 2-minute warning or right before the 2-minute warning, where the play continued. We threw a pick and it ended up being whistled dead. So that was pretty controversial because that was going to be a pick six, but we eventually went down, scored on that hook and ladder play, and then and that was towards the end of the first half. But in the second half, we pretty much shut them down. We held the Cardinals to 13 points. We took care of the ball for the most part. We took the ball away, so we had the turnover differential was 0. We took one away and we gave one away. But yeah, we just kind of willed the victory due to our strong running game, and Jack Fox was the special teams player of the game or player of the week or something like that, because he was able to pin them deep, I think 3 or 4 times. So putting them in an unfavorable field position to start drives was pivotal as well. So everybody kind of played their part.
I don't think you mentioned Aiden Hutchinson. What is he up to in sacks?
He had 1 sack. It was a fairly quiet game for him.
Well, it brings his season total to 6.5 in only 3 games.
He had 3.5 last week, so it was quiet in it was quiet in
Didn't he have,
what was it?
Didn't he have 4.5 in the first half?
4.5 last week.
Yeah.
Right,
First quarter.
4.5.
If he averages if he averages 2 per game from here on out, he'll be the new record holder. Easy.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
By far.
Hutchinson has those games where he'll go quiet and then he'll have a 2-sack game. So I think what will happen, and just is my opinion, just the rest of the season, he'll get at least 1 a game. He'll average maybe 1.5 a game, if that. But he'll go some games where he doesn't get anything, and then he'll have a game where he gets 2. So that's just the way it is with him. That's the way it's been.
That's good, though. And Montgomery ran for 106 yards and a touchdown. I caught most of your game. It looked like you guys were clicking.
Well, the thing is, though, we still haven't put together 4 quarters of football. Still haven't done that quite yet. The first half was Goff was immaculate. He was very, very precise. I think he went 14 for 14 at one point. We were running the ball, and then I think it was 20-3 at half, and we wound up winning 20-13. And I think while the defense hung in there and made some plays in the second half, the offense didn't score in the second half. So we're still waiting for four complete quarters of football offensively, to say the least.
Gotcha. Well, you won. You guys are 2-1 in second place in the division, tied with the Packers. And that's a good thing. All right. This is the point in the show where we're going to pay some bills. We've been talking. I got wonderful fans in the chat talking about cheers and what they're drinking, whiskey and everything else. This is what gets us paid and gets those little bit of extra dollars for beer or whiskey or your favorite beverage of choice. And we're going to take a quick break right now. Stick with us. For those that are listening, you're going to hear the wonderful sponsors, and those that are watching will only be gone for about 10 seconds. And we're back. That was a quick 10 seconds, but it works. If only some quarterbacks could last that long, we'd be all right.
Hey, yo.
Anyways, now we're going to week 4, the upcoming week. We have 3 games to talk about instead of 4. But let's start off with the first ones. Noon Central in Chicago. The Bears are hosting the LA Rams, and what shocks me is the Bears are favored by 3. Why is that, Pay?
Why are they favored? That is an excellent question. They went into last week as the road dog. Maybe it has something to do with LA being trashed the last couple of weeks. To be honest with you, they were down 31, as much as 31 points to the Arizona Cardinals. That surely couldn't help. And they were down by as much as 14 to the San Francisco 49ers before they had their Hollywood-esque comeback, fitting for a team in LA, right? So I don't know what those sharps in Vegas are saying. They put the Bears as a 3-point favorite. I don't know about that.
Well, that's what they have, and I don't know if it's somebody got hurt for LA, and if my fans that are watching know what caused that, please put it in the chat because I have not looked. But it is definitely
hurt,
there. Have you heard, Foster?
I think Cup's hurt and Nakua is questionable. He missed last game and they got killed by who they play last week? No, they won. They beat San Francisco. They lost to the Cardinals, so I'm always fine. But Cup is hurt.
Nakua's on IR. On IR, and Cup is he had his boot taken off yesterday. But whether or not he's playing, that's still to be determined. Initially they said Cup was going to miss a extended amount of time.
That's what
Well, they think they're hurt enough that your Bears can take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, they are bereft of high-level talent in LA. Hopefully the Bears can do what they should have done last week and take advantage of it, like you said. Preseason, we was counting this as a loss, so this would put us right back on schedule if we can go ahead and do what we're supposed to do. But as I said, if it comes down to it, we will probably be out-coached because our coach is overmatched in that type of expectations to be an elite game manager of situations. But quick things on this game. Both teams are coming into this game 1-2. Both have a lot of questions, as I already said. We know what the Bears' issues are. They're all on the offensive line of that ball, and some of them are on the sideline with headsets on. And one of them sitting in the office, to be honest with you. I think that's the biggest issue. But let's talk about the Rams for a second. As I said, after they lost that close game in OT to Detroit on week 1, it's been pretty much terrible ever since. They were down by as much as 31, as I said, to Arizona. They were down by as much as 14 to San Francisco before they came back and won that game. Their O-line gave up 3 sacks last week to San Francisco. San Francisco got a pretty decent defense. I don't know if you've heard. Mm-hmm. So do the Bears. So I hope that's a little bit that could be exploited after we only got to the athletic Anthony Richardson one time last week. So we need to get back on that saddle. No, did he? To getting to the quarterback. Stafford he's been pretty successful in his career against the Bears. He's 12-9 career against the Bears, but he's under 500 playing at Soldier Field. So hopefully, it does turn into a house of horrors for him as well. The offense has to do better. We need to have a clean game this week. The Rams defense has not been anything to write home about. Brock Purdy lit him up last week. He threw 3 touchdowns to the same guy. The same guy. They say, "Oh, you're not going to cover him still? No, here's another one. Still, here's another one for you." All right. Kyler Murray. He lit him up. Call of Duty isn't out yet, so maybe it's much to be expected. We need Caleb Williams to follow in that trend, follow in that path. Hopefully, for the young guy, his second career start, he can do the same thing. As we spoke earlier, maybe there's some things, a light bulb is going off. He can figure some things out and continue to build upon each game. And we need that because the offense definitely got to help the defense out. The defense did its best last week. Eventually, the offense kept putting him in tough situations, and Jonathan Taylor, he broke free a couple of times, and we could not overcome it. We can't let Kyren Williams, who last week had had his own 3 touchdown game, we can't let him get comfortable and eventually gash us in the fourth quarter either. Because again, as I said, our play callers, they're not the best at their job.
Gotcha. Now, you will probably be the only one of this group watching your game live because the biggest game of the division is being played at the same time. The Minnesota Vikings travel to Lambeau Field to hopefully put a thumping on the Green Bay Packers and put them back where they belong. But we're going to find out. Right now, speaking of Vegas and crazy odds, Vegas has the Green Bay Packers favored by 2.5 points. Okay. And they don't know who's going to be quarterback. Whether it's Gimpy Jordan Love or if it's Malik Willis again. We really don't know. Now, what's going to be fun is the Vikings are preparing for both. I think it's to our advantage if they play Love, believe it or not, because the Minnesota Vikings presently hold the number 1 spot in causing QB pressures. And if you got somebody that's not moving well because he's been sidelined with a sprained knee, that's going to be advantage Vikings. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll find out. They're 2 good teams, decent teams, but I'm curious how, and generally all the games between Minnesota and Green Bay are close for the most part. There's only a couple that have been blown out, one way, one the other. And we'll see how it goes this weekend. But for me, it's that first in division game. And it matters, right? If we win, we're 4-0, we're still top. Not a big deal. Press on to the next game. However, if the Packers win, God forbid, they will claim that top spot, at least being tied for it if the Lions win. And we know how they get when they're riding on top of the division. And we don't want that. Not at all. I'd rather have either one of your 2 teams up there. So, Daniel Foss says Love won't start. Daniel, I hope so. But everything I've heard so far today is he is going to try to start. They're going to try to start him. And I hope they do. But we'll find out. Because I think because of his knee injury, I think he'll have a rougher time than Malik Willis will. But we'll find out. It's going to be interesting. It's an interesting matchup. The Packers have a very good defense. And we're going to see. And if Sam Darnold balls out again, oh, that's going to cause all sorts of talking down where I'm at about should we re-sign him? And I'm like, whoa, it's only been 3 games. He's doing great. Gotta love it. Well, let's get through the season before we start talking that. But we'll find out. It's going to be interesting. And it will be probably the most watched game of the noon hour. It's got most of the coverage. It's on CBS. It's going to be a good game. And the weather's perfect. Checked it yesterday. It's supposed to be 71 degrees at kickoff. Just a 10-mile-an-hour breeze. Nothing. Sun out. Mostly cloudy or mostly sunny. Psh, beautiful. All day. Can't wait. Well, that leaves us with the final game of the week. And I believe it is the final game, even though there's a Monday night doubleheader. You guys are the ones playing at 7:15 and not at 6 Central. And you are hosting the Seattle Sea Chickens. The 3-0 Seattle Sea Chickens.
That's right.
Give us a preview, June. What do you think? What's going to happen?
We owed them. We're 0-4 the last time we played them. I had this game circled last year and we lost. We owe them. In my mind, we have to win. We have to win because we've lost to them so many times in a row. Lost to them here last year. Their tight ends were killing us on offense. Like they just looked like whenever they were wide open at times. Like they was just nobody within 5 yards, and they were just scoring at will. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think we're a little better suited defensively to play them, and I expect us to. It's going to be Monday night in Detroit. That place is going to be rocking. I expect to win.
Speaking of better suited, you'll be wearing your new black and blue uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Solid black with the blue helmets. Foster, what do you think about those?
The last time we wore the last era that we wore black jerseys, we were terrible. I mean, they look good, but the team itself was terrible. So it'll be nice to look good and play good. But yeah, it'll be exciting. It's. I hate that we always have to wait. Even the 4:00 game, I didn't really like waiting. But
no.
But yeah, the Seahawks have been a thorn in our side, as June said, and they are 3-0. But I mean, they're a pretty good team. They got a balanced attack. They got Kenneth Walker. They got Charbonnet out there, and they have a pretty decent receiving core with Metcalf and Lockett and Font and all that. But they played two that they played against the Broncos and Patriots, and those are both pretty close games. And then they played a Tua-less Dolphins team. So we'll see.
Doc's got it right. He said he really wants to see a division rival win, right, but he really hates the Sea Chickens.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how they fare. I think the Lions will be the toughest team they've played thus far, but they've been pretty good. They have the 4th ranked defense as far as points allowed, and they have the number one secondary right now. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Seahawks.
Well, we all get to watch it because it's the ABC broadcast versus the first game, which is ESPN or ESPN Plus, blah, blah. We get to watch yours. and it should be a good one. I look forward to it. Now, any predictions on your game? We'll start off with Pays because this is the first one off the docket. Bears versus Rams. Who wins?
I'm not going broke. I'm still going to bear down. The Bears are going to right the ship and start doing what they are expected to do. LA is a little just not clumsy, but they just don't have it all together on their offensive side. Their defense has a lot of questions as well. So I got the Bears giving the home crowd another W. Bears 27, a season high in points, 27. Rams 13.
Cool. June Foster, you think the Bears going to beat the Rams?
I don't know, man. It depends on which Rams show up. I don't know. I think it'll be a closer game than that. I'm going to edge the Bears though.
Okay. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be closer than Chicago's favored by 3. That blows my mind. But it's probably going to be within that range, plus or minus 3. And if the Rams are imploding, which it sounds like they are, you might give the edge to the Bears. They come home. Either that or people are going to be calling for everybody's head by the end of the game, by halftime. So, which could happen anyways. We'll find out. Then comes my game, the Vikings at the Packers. I'm not going to give you an exact score, but I'm going to say the Vikings win by more than 1 score, i.e. more than 7 points. And it could be.
I'm still kind of waiting on the. I'm still waiting to see for. I don't know. The Vikings are good. They have a good defense. Darnold has been great, but the day is coming. The day is coming soon where they kind of come back to life a little bit.
You would think.
Not that they've blown everybody out, but
except for Houston. And we could have with San Francisco if Aaron Jones didn't drop the ball on the 1-yard line. But speaking of Aaron Jones, he returns to Green Bay, and he put out a letter through the players' fan deal, real sweet, and it ended up real sappy about, hey, I may no longer wear a G on my helmet, but I've got a G on my heart, blah, blah, blah. All sorts of this sapping up the crowd so that he doesn't get booed when he get back there. And yet yesterday, I think it was yesterday, press conference, Matt LaFleur was asked about Aaron Jones coming back, and he goes, who?
Wow.
Yeah.
They're going to boo him. He's going to get booed.
And he goes, Aaron Jones. And he goes, who are you talking about? I don't care. And I know that got back to Aaron Jones. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. That's why I think it's going to be more than 7 points. I think we're going to be closer to 10 to 14 point victors on that. And we're going to find out. We should have Jordan Addison back, which would be good. So we'll have Jefferson, Addison, and Jalen Naylor. I think we're going to be golden. Everybody's starting to get healthier. We'll have Hawkinson back probably after the bye. And
wow.
So it's going to be, as Dan says, the Vikings are 3-0 and soon to be 4-0, and that's quite possible. And that's what I'm predicting. You guys can say, nah, the Packers are going to win. I'm not. We got silence.
There's a lot of moving pieces here. Whether Love plays, it is in Green Bay. Green Bay's always tough, regardless.
And especially up the middle. They got a heck of a defensive tackle.
Yeah. So it's
I
gonna be.
I
It's gonna
think
be a
it's
good
going to
one.
be a closer game than one score. I think it's going. I think the game's going to ultimately come down to turnovers. Whoever wins the turnover, the turnover ratio, and I just think it's going to be a close game. Green Bay and Lambeau is a tough team, and I think they're establishing an identity without love, and that's running they're running the football. They
Mm-hmm.
got Jake back there working, so and they're playing tough defense. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be. I picked the Vikings to win, but I just think it's going to be a closer game, and I want to say something like 24-21
Okay.
if the Packers can score. Now that's something to be seen versus that Vikings defense. We'll see, but I think it'll be a closer game than that. It may not be as high scoring as I say, but I think they'll win by at least 3.
Okay. Pay, you've got a betting show that you do. Where would you put your money?
Vikings start the season 4-0.
My man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I doubt that Jordan Love plays this game. I think out of precaution, because he is the franchise quarterback, you're always going to lean to precaution with that player, no matter who he is or no matter what point of the season, right? If this was a wide receiver or a high end running back or their star safety, you might see them go out there because gunning it out is more acceptable for them, for those type of players. The quarterback, you're going to get precaution. I do not foresee Jordan Love playing, even though they say he's moving around as if he was never hurt at all. Poppycock. Um, Malik Willis, the pumpkin turns the carriage turns back to a pumpkin Sunday. I spoke earlier about there's been some progression in his fundamentals and his footwork and where his release points from what I remember seeing when he was in Tennessee. So credit to them for coaching him up, but that defense is going to speed him up immensely. Brian
Mm-hmm.
Flores will play no games and give him no breaks. The looks he's going to get and the lack of time he's going to get is going to be a lot different than what he's seeing from Tennessee. Tennessee has a decent defense, but Tennessee also is dealing with is playing with a man down on offense. So
Well, I
you don't
just
have
want
the
to let
same.
you know, Doc Proto says Pay obviously knows his shit. That's quite a bit coming from Doc. I'll let you know that. So, and there's Sally Spice. Sal is our newest contributor. She absolutely rocks, and her sentiments are exactly what most Vikings fans say. We got one more game to discuss, to select. Who do you think's going to win between the Detroit Lions hosting the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night?
Go ahead, Foster. Your squad. You kick it off.
Yeah, so I would like to I would like to think that this is the week where we kind of get a little break. We can, it's not another down to the wire type situation.
You're favored by
But
3.5, just to let you know.
okay. Um, but yeah, we know historically. I think the Seahawks was the last team that put us out the last time we were in the playoffs. Not the last time, the time before last. So I guess that's not important anymore. Still thinking about that. But yeah, I think it's going to be another close game. The injuries are starting to mount a little bit. Derek Barnes is going to be out for a while. Marcus Davenport is likely out for the year. They're both on the IR, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and we might hold Sam Laporta out until after the bye, because we have a bye coming up after this week. So they said that his status is up in the air. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough battle, and I know the Seahawks have a 12th man over over their way as far as the fan base, but it gets pretty loud in Ford Field. So I think that will be a factor, and I think that if we can turn Geno Smith over, we can really swing the momentum in our direction. I think we've had a takeaway in each of the 3 games that we played. It's going to be important that we take care of the ball as well, because Jared Goff has been a little irresponsible himself with the ball. So, with this said, I got the Lions winning in another close ball game, unfortunately, because my heart can't take it between them and the Detroit Tigers, who are also. I didn't get a chance to speak on the Tigers earlier, but yeah, the Tigers are I'm at the edge of my seat every game with them as well. So close game.
June, you're just sitting back there watching.
Yeah.
How do you think your team's going to do against the Sea Chickens?
I think the Lions win. I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. I want to say 17-14 Lions. It's going to be a tough, gritty game. I know Foster's tired of the close games and not knowing what's going to happen until the fourth quarter, until the whistle sounds. But I think I think the next break he'll get is the bye week, as far as something like that. So
right,
I got the Lions winning 17-14. I do think the offense has to show me something. The offense has to show me something. Until then, I'm going to give them lower scores as far as prediction. I need 4 quarters of offense from my guys. Running the ball hasn't been a problem. They've been able to run the ball. It's just they just try to do too much downfield or spreading the ball around when something else is working. They don't stick with it. So I still think it's going to be a low scoring game until we get this offense fixed.
The over-under is 46.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
So interesting. It's going to be fun to watch, and we'll all be watching. So, and like I said, I look forward to seeing those uniforms, and hopefully they'll help you guys win against the Seahawks, because I agree with my fan that says don't usually root for the division teams, but they're playing the Seahawks, and we don't like the Seahawks.
It's going to be electric in Ford Field Monday night.
So with that, that's going to wrap it up. Pay, what have you got going on lately that you want to share with everybody that's watching or listening?
It's a lot being recorded today, Dave, at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. We've got this show as I said, this weekly NFC Roundtable. Later, we are recording a White Sox 2024 referendum on the season. So it's basically a season review and try not to be so Debbie Downer outlook on what the Sox can do to not be the worst team again coming next year. We're ramping back up for the Bulls. Shot City Bulletin Board has another episode coming up. Derrick Rose, he just retired. One of the city's favorite athletes of all time. We'll be talking about that. And fantasy basketball. Got some more fantasy basketball talk on that outlook as well. On the Bears landscape, we have our game preview that will be posted tomorrow, and Pay Dirt, our sports gambling show, that will drop right before Thursday Night Football. So it's a lot going on, Dave. All of this can be found at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel.
Link is in the description for those that want to check it out, and I would strongly suggest that you do. June, what has going on at Bleachers to Speakers the rest of this week?
Well, we want you to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers and find out. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. You can catch Bleachers to Speakers, the Detroit Lions football podcast. You can also catch Detroit Pistons post-game podcast. You can also check the Detroit Tigers corner to Copa, and the Detroit Tigers are heating up. I mean, it's like what? How many games left? 3, Foster?
3 games against the Chicago White Sox.
And Foster is reporting constantly on that. We also got some more. We got some basketball about to heat up some. So we're going to be talking more Pistons basketball. We air before each, probably a couple of hours before each game the Lions play. So if you subscribe to Bleachers To Speakers on YouTube, you'll get an alert. If you hit the notification bell whenever we drop, and also for all your podcast. For your audio fix, all podcast aggregators, just type in Bleachers To Speakers, FFSN. Also with the post-game podcast, FFSN, and Corner to Copa, FFSN, in your podcast aggregators. Find us, follow us, download those episodes. We're going to be really working these next couple of weeks as far as content, and there's going to be a lot more because football just starting and basketball's on the way. Baseball is rearing is coming to a close, but it's starting to heat up playoff wise. So you will get a lot of content out of this channel if you just chime in for us.
Sounds great. And I know it's keeping Foster busy and pulling out his hair. He'll be bald like me soon. So
I hope not.
Yeah, you better hope not. Anyways, over at Vikings First and SKOL, we have obviously this show this week. This show, why you need to subscribe and get notifications is this show rotates week to week between us, between the Bear Claw podcast on the disappointed, disgruntled, disenfranchised Chicago station, and of course, Bleachers To Speakers. So that way you get that. Now, for us, we have this show obviously today. Our next live show is Saturday at 4 o'clock. It's Two Old Bloggers. Darren is back finally. And we're going to be talking about the game against the Packers, obviously. But since the guys talked about basketball, Sal Spice was on here. She's going to be doing some Timberwolves stuff for us, and they're getting ready to rock and roll. She's got an event with the Timberwolves team coming up this week, Monday, Tuesday-ish, and so we'll find out how that goes, but expect some basketball to come to Vikings First and SKOL. Should be interesting. With that, any last words there, Pay?
The only last words that I have are the same words I use when I wake up in the morning. Bear down.
The Bears.
June Foster.
Oh.
And of course, SKOL Vikings. Gotta play the horn. Always gotta play the horn.
I love
Yes,
that.
you do.
And the button sticking. Wonderful.
Yeah.
It happens.
Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a The Bear Claw podcast. Bleachers To Speakers. Vikings First and SKOL. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.